Hello, fans of the Vista technology channel, and welcome to the first video of 2020, and Happy New Year. Well, it's New Year's Day as of me recording this, but knowing me, it probably won't get out until, 3 years from now. But, so we're going to start off this year with an actual pre-recorded video, and the topic is going to be somewhat fitting because, it's New Year, we're letting go of the old stuff, but it's worth taking a look at the things that we've let go. So, for this video, I'm going to be talking about my Moto X4. So, this is going to be my 2-year long review because this cell phone is actually still being sold. It was initially released on September 1st, 2017, coming in with a diameter of 8mm and a screen probably much smaller than that, with 4G LTE, a mass of 163 grams, a CPU with a max clock of 2.2 gigahertz, that being a Snapdragon 630, and a 650 megahertz Arduino 508, which is, again, an integrated part of the Snapdragon, and 4 gigabytes of LPDDR4 memory. This thing is not impressive whatsoever. It wasn't impressive for the time, and it's certainly not impressive now, but it has held up surprisingly well. Now, I got this particular phone about 2 years ago. My Nexus 6 was sort of getting to the end of its usable lifespan, and my uncle said, hey, I have this phone lying around, and I was like, okay. So, I just grabbed it, and I started using it. So, obviously it's going to be much snappier than a phone released in 2014, lacking some of the more premium features that I had been used to on the Nexus 6. In fact, the camera was quite a downgrade, and the experience on Android was nowhere near as snappy, even with the fact that it was running Android 1 and not actually, stock Android. So that was a bit of a downer. Another thing that this is actually the second of these that I've owned, and I'll get to that in a minute. The 3 days into owning my last one, I was on the subway, and I actually had it in a plastic Ziploc bag just to protect it from scratches and whatnot. And the train does what it did and, slammed me into the pole, and the back of the phone shattered. Now, this wasn't as much of a problem because it was in a plastic bag, and, later on with this version, I actually had a case. But had I had just be using bare hands, there is a very good possibility I could have, gotten cut or whatever. So that was not a great design insight. Glass-backed phones are quite popular, and when you use proper glass, they're actually quite good. But when you use cheap glass that breaks very easily, it's not so great. And also, another common criticism of this phone was its camera bulge. So, it's an okay camera. That's not the problem. The problem is that, if you don't have a case like this, which when you put it on, it sort of equalizes that out, so you can see like it's not really popping out. Especially with this, I had this thing on the back for putting debit cards in and whatnot. But this glass here is very prone to cracking to the point where there's actually a third-party market for replacements for just this little dot of glass, which is shocking. And you can see on the front here this. So let me just talk a little bit about usability. The usability on this is actually quite good. I was using this up until Christmas when I unexpectedly received a new mobile phone, which I will also be reviewing at some point, which was so much better than this. But even at that, it's not a bad experience. So say, applications that it swipes, pretty fast, things side, good. Also, I have battery saver on, so that's a consideration. But say I want to, check my text messages, I use Google Voice. I just click on there and my messages are there within seconds. So it's, that's not even really a consideration. Say even, for example, Instagram, which is one of the more troublesome applications, that one still loads pretty fast. And let's say Snapchat. Snapchat takes a bit longer, and if you try to do too much at once, it does kind of freak out on you a bit. But beyond that, it's relatively good. The web browsing experience is fine, it's not fantastic, but, you know, it's serviceable. But one of the coolest things about this phone isn't actually, you know, the core specs or the normal things you can do with it, but it has Motorola included a customization program with this that lets you set custom gestures and you can do certain things. Like, this is the most useful thing I've ever found. And moving to my new phone, which was a $1,300 phone, so flagship, but it didn't even have this feature, which is sorely missed, which is flick twice and you've got a flashlight. That is so unbelievably useful. If I'm in the dark, if I'm walking down the stairs at night and I don't want to turn on the lights and wake everyone up, I can just that. And then one other feature that's sorely missing on my new phone is this basic wake. So when you lift your phone up, you get the time, you get the in this little circular rotation, you get the battery percentage, you get the date, and if you have any notifications here, they'll show up and you can press on them and they'll show you the notifications without you having to press the home button and scroll through all this, so it only shows you what's new. This phone also sports another feature that I missed on my old phone, a headphone jack. And beyond that, this phone is a trooper. So I did have the case, I did tell you this is the second one, which I will get to that again. I know it's like the second time I said that. But this phone is a trooper. I used to commute with this daily about, you know, I want to say 60 kilometers round trip. And this thing, the screen protector got smashed and the case has taken bumps, but this thing has held up really well. In fact, this thing has been dropped in water. This thing is, you can see this is all cracked up here. This thing was abused. Not because I'm some sort of masochist who just absolutely abuses every cell phone that they're given. It's just that, you know, it was in a situation where that just happened, and it handled it really well, and I'm really surprised by that. So let's talk a little bit about camera and video quality. The camera on this is actually quite decent, with a front camera of 16 megapixels, a rear camera with dual 12 megapixel lenses, and an ultra-wide lens with 8 megapixels. So let me just give you some camera and video samples here, and you can judge for the quality yourself, and everyone has different tastes, but I actually think that it's quite decent, and with the HDR enabled, I've taken some pretty good looking photos. One gripe I had with this phone that really wasn't excusable though was the speaker. The speaker was incredibly quiet and tinny at best. Making phone calls actually quite difficult to hear, which got very annoying very quickly. And over time, the speaker quality actually began to degrade to the point where I could no longer hear my morning alarms. So I'm going to have to take off marks for that. On the whole though, for a retail price of $150, this is still a very solid choice. It's pretty rugged as long as you have a case and a screen protector, which you should have on any phone you own anyway. Unless you're one of those bareback people that think they're super cool, in which case you probably have more money to throw around and you can just buy another one if it breaks. And you probably wouldn't be buying a phone like that if you had that kind of money. But it is an overall solid option, and for $150, I'm willing to excuse every single fault on this phone. It served me well, and I would recommend it. Now, if you're serious about photography or something, then I would have to give this a pass, but if you're just looking for a daily driver device and you don't care not having the latest flagship, I'd go for it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you appreciate this new, more edited content with a lot more effort and B-roll, I know, which is crazy. But tell me what you guys think in the comments. Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Do you think I should probably just end this video? I'm gonna go with the third one. See y'all in the next one.